Welcome to Northern Vibes, your go-to podcast for everything Northern Denver.
From everything Denver to Fort Collins, we're your local real estate experts shining a light on the incredible quality of life in the area.
We're going to cover local businesses, attractions, events, and interviews with experts, all while educating and empowering you to understand why the Northern Denver area is the best place to be.
Amen, sister.
You bet.
My name is Ann Wymore with Navigate Realty, Northern Vibes, your all things Northern Denver. And with me is my co-host, Wilson Miller with.
I'm with Direct Lending Team, powered by Citywide Home Mortgage.
And today we have the honor of talking to Chad Swenson, who is running for Broomfield City Council, Ward 5. Welcome, Chad.
Hi, thank you guys.
So, Chad, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I have lived in Colorado most of my life. I've been in Broomfield for almost the past 15 years. I've had the honor of raising my kids here. They attended Broomfield High School. We've been a part of the community here. My wife and I live here now, and I have done real estate in the Denver metro area for a little bit over 25 years. And have done quite a few things with the community. I have been a chairperson for the Boy Scouts of America Colorado division. I have coached high school and youth sports. I have led different men's groups and families groups with our church and taught Sunday school.
Wow, so in your free time, you decided, hey, let's just run for city council. I'm a little
I
bored.
mean, talk about a man of the people.
I'll tell you, this is so living in Broomfield, the story kind of goes like this. What made me think about running for city council is my wife and we have a hot tub in our backyard. Well, when we sit in there, we call it our think tank because that's where we talk about our kids and our lives and what's going on and kind of some of the important stuff. And I've been over the last couple years not been real happy with the direction Broomfield has taken, and I've mentioned it several times in the think tank. And my wife finally said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" I said, "You know what? Good point. I can't sit here and complain all the time and not do anything about it." So at that point, I decided the best path would be to try and make a difference. So I am running for city council.
I hope I never venture into that hot tub because if I'm going to get held accountable for all the crap I vent about, then I'm
Yeah,
screwed.
yeah.
I love that stance, though. I tell my parents it all the time, and our society's just ate up with it. We're all big time complainers. What needs to be better? Well, what is anybody doing about it?
Yeah.
What are
Well,
you
my
really
friend,
doing about it? Even if it's at a neighborly level, even if it's at your neighbor, it doesn't have to be national level. But what are you doing at it? What are you doing about any of it? And good for you.
my friends and I'll sit around and talk about national politics and what's going on in the country or what has gone on. And I'll tell you, once we've sat around and talked and sometimes had a couple beers, we can solve all the problems in this country. But then we look at each other and go, okay, well, we're all going to do nothing about it. And I can't do anything about it at the national level, but I sure as
Right.
heck can help do something at the local level.
Amen.
And what is your slogan right now? What is the slogan? What are you running? What's your platform?
So the big thing that's going on in Broomfield is there's never a discussion on the topics that face our city. Um, all 10 city council members and the mayor are almost of one brain. They all agree upon everything, and there's never a discussion. They just pass things in silence. So my campaign slogan is let's have a discussion because silence is not leadership. And that's truly what I want is I want us to talk about what is going on in the city and try to come to a result that will be best for Broomfield because that is not happening right now.
Good for
Isn't
you.
it all about discussion? Like what you're saying is your think tank, your hot tub is your discussion. You sit around with your friends and you visit about things, and that's a discussion. And a lot of times, if everyone is of the same opinion, you never have that discussion and no one really understands what's going on because you just have one group who runs the whole thing.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at in Broomfield. There's very little dissenting voice to what goes on in Broomfield. And and the other part about a discussion is you got to be able to listen as well. And nobody is listening in Broomfield, at least not on our current council. They do what they want without even listening to what the people, their constituents in the city have had to say about it. And I can give you a great example of that is they just recently went to single hauler trash in Broomfield. And they had an open forum on it in city council because anytime they try to pass a new ordinance or have or need to have an issue that goes up for vote in the council, they have to open it up to public comment. Well, overwhelmingly, the public comment was, we do not want you to take our choice away on who we use for trash. As soon as everybody was done telling the city council they did not want that, they voted unanimously to go to single hauler trash. So they're not listening either.
So, was
It
there
sounds like
any?
the path of least resistance, isn't necessarily the best. There is no change without agitation. Like
Yeah.
you can't
So
all
there
just,
was.
how is it? That should be impossible that everybody agrees on the
Yeah,
council.
and it's most, I mean, I'm not saying it happens 100% of the time, but I will tell you the majority of the time that they come up with an idea or an ordinance, it passes 9-1 or 10-0.
That's
Wow.
bizarre.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people then who aren't being heard. And there's a lot of things that have taken us from what we could do to that would be best for Broomfield to this fits our pet projects or this fits what we want to do as an ideology instead of doing what would best benefit the people and the city.
Was there any comments made by the city council when let's go back to your example on the trash. What was the comments? Can they just do that without explaining why they're voting a certain way? Do they have
Yeah,
to?
they did say, look, I don't think their reasons are flawed on a lot of it, right? They said that it's less wear and tear on the roads to not have 3 or 4 trash companies coming up and down the roads during the weeks, which that makes a little bit of sense. They were big on saying that it'll reduce the carbon output to the environment by not having as many trash trucks. There's some truth to that as well. However, the thing that is frustrating about this, and I'll tell you flat out, I could really care less who picks up my trash as long as the job gets done and it's reasonably priced. However, the city has a 5-year contract with the trash company that they have doing this, but they will not guarantee that our rates and our opt-out fee won't go up for in the next 5 years. So that tells me right there, in all likelihood, they're going to raise our trash rates. And you don't have to do it, but you got to pay a $10.50 a month opt-out fee to the city to not use their trash service. So I promise you they'll raise that too. Well, I can't promise you, but that's what I feel is going to happen.
It's just like steering in our business. It's almost a monopoly. You can't. That's what the whole country's founded on not having.
Yeah, I mean, and quite honestly, trash isn't even one of the biggest issues facing what's going on in our city. That's just an example of the city council not listening to what the people have to say and having no discussion over it.
Right.
Some of the bigger things that you would like to get changed, or would you just like for them to hear your voice or the voice of people who are similar to you?
Well, really want us to have a discussion. That's one of my main priorities. I want to encourage open dialogue. I think we need to prioritize people over politics. We need to promote transparency. It almost seems like these decisions are made before they ever even come to a discussion or to open forum in the city council meetings. And then I want to represent all of Broomfield. I don't give a crap what side of the fence you're on politically. I really just want to do what's best for Broomfield, and I don't believe that's happening. I can tell you, I'll give you another thing that I know the people I've been talking to are really concerned about. our water rates in this last year in Broomfield almost doubled. And they are already slated to go up 15% again next year, then 7% the year after that, and another 7% the year after that. So I compared my July 2024 water bill to July 2025, and my water bill was almost $70 more in 2025 than it was in 2024. And those numbers are real figures when you look at a family who's saying, look, I'm already getting hit by what the cost of living is. So
Mhm.
now I'm paying an extra $30 to $70 in the summer months to not make sure my yard's not dead, to make sure, the kids can run through the sprinkler once in a while. And when you start adding that up, that means now I can't take my family out to dinner. Now we can't fully fill the tank of gas. We have to just put a few bucks in to get where we got to go. It affects people in a real way. And it didn't have to be this way. It came about because of poor planning and poor management in the Broomfield City Council.
Wow,
Another
there's a
two
lot of,
years, another 2 years, it's another $30, $40 higher than that.
Yeah. Well,
and it doesn't sound like there is anyone standing up and saying, hey, let's talk about this, let's figure this out.
yeah.
Because a lot of times we don't mind spending a little bit more money if we understand the cause behind it. But if we're just getting it pushed down our throats, it makes it a little bit more tricky to swallow that.
The problem with the water was they have to put new water towers in the northern part of Broomfield. There's a new development going in up by Highway 7 and Sheridan Parkway called Baseline. And it's
Yeah.
a very large development, which I'm all for. And we've already got houses being built up there. Plus, this is ultimately going to extend east of I-25, which is still part of Broomfield when you get to Highway 7. So they've got to put new water towers in. We have to have them. Problem is, we needed them 5 years ago. And they kicked the can down the road. And now the exact same project is going to cost the taxpayers millions more than it would have 5 years ago for the exact same project. And they don't have the income to get the bond for it. So they're raising water rates to start showing and generating income so that they can get the bond to build these water towers that were needed 5 years ago. And it isn't just the water towers. It also falls into not taking care of the maintenance on the water lines, the sewer lines, etc.
I think a lot of our cities face some of the same issues that you're talking about. It's more along the lines of just having the average citizen having a voice to be able to communicate and to understand some of the information that's coming out. We have a lot of cities like that out here. And to Wilson's point, and Chad, even to yours, is while we may not be on the national scale, is if you go out and vote right now for your city council, for the people who represent you in the state legislature and that sort of political arena, we're definitely seeing you actually see a lot more impact quickly than you do when you vote for a president, when you vote
Yeah.
for someone like that. So getting out there and getting involved in your city, in the state, and different things like that, your vote counts a lot more because not a lot of people go out and vote for that. But we do see the turnaround in our taxes and our bills and different things like that. Whereas nationally, our votes sometimes get canceled out.
Yeah. There's and you mentioned taxes. Broomfield's taxes are up 25.25% in the last 2 years since 2023. Making Broomfield, I've read a couple different surveys on this, and making Broomfield either the third most expensive county in Colorado to live in, down to the fifth most expensive county in Colorado to live in. Not just based on the cost of housing, but in addition, the taxes and the utilities and all that go with it. So it is not cheap to live in Broomfield. And by taking things like what happened with our water situation and running it to failure before they fix it, it just costs everybody more. So one of the things I want to do when I get into city council is I want to be proactive in taking care of the things our city needs to operate instead of reactive.
Did you do that?
This thought isn't thought out by any means, but I was thinking to myself while you're talking, say I've been in Broomfield for 20 years. Why am I paying for the expansion of this city? Let's say you're just an individual who's been living there for 20 years. Why am I paying this for a lot of privatized businesses to profit on? First of
Yeah.
all, building a new neighborhood is great. We need more housing for the general public. I get that. But at the same time, there's a builder behind that. There's profit being made behind that. There's city making money on that. Why are my taxes going up instead of just managing them properly or getting
Yeah.
this stuff done in a timely fashion? Because honestly, if I'm an old lady living in Broomfield for 35 years, why am I paying for this new build community going in?
Um,
You
and
know,
you're
like I don't know. Is that an ignorant comment? I don't know. I mean,
No,
is
not
that
at
how the
all.
general
I
public
get
might
where you're
feel
coming
though?
from. No, I get 100% get where you're coming from on that. Most of the new developments that go in are getting paid for by metro districts, which is so common in Colorado now.
Hmm.
You
Yeah.
can't almost find a new development without it being part of a metro district. But that just adds cost to everything that goes on. So where you are paying for a lack of leadership and a lack of being proactive as a taxpayer is when you're talking about things like water, or you're talking about roads, or you're talking about energy. Those things hit all the taxpayers across Broomfield. And when it's not
Hmm.
managed correctly, then everybody pays for it. And when, to your point, you said, what if I'm an elderly woman who's lived in Broomfield for 35 years? Well, you've probably got a pretty fixed income. So you can't
Hmm.
afford to have your water bill be $30 more this year. You can't afford to have your taxes be up 25% in the last 2 years. And the water bills, they're up 77% in the last 2 years. So it is crazy that a lack of planning and maybe irresponsible spending has cost people who are barely getting by, like I was saying earlier, the opportunity to go out and have dinner or to go see a movie. Or maybe it is that you have to decide, I can't turn my thermostat up past 60 this winter, and you got to have 12 blankets on. It's scary that these thoughts don't go into every decision. And it should, but it's not happening.
I kind of heard why you're doing it. Was it hard for you how do you get into city government? How do you get into something like that? Because I think there are a lot of people around here who have those discussions and who are sitting back wondering about, different questions, but they don't know how to get a foothold into making a difference. So what steps did you take to run for city council?
Um, First I had multiple discussions with my wife, obviously, and several friends and people here in the community. And what I did was I started going to city council meetings because I just needed to understand how things were being run, what was going on. So I went to several city council meetings. Then I went to even though city council meetings are technically nonpartisan, I went to some Democrat meetings in town for the local Broomfield Democrats, and I went to some local Broomfield Republican meetings. And what I decided was, if I'm going to get involved in this, I'm not a person that says, yeah, I'll give it a try. If it works out, cool. No, if I lose this, I'm going to be devastated. I am going to give it everything I have to win this race, because that's how I'm going to make a difference. But what I had to do was figure out, first and foremost, what does it take to get registered? That's a pretty simple process. I looked it up online through the city website, went in, registered, and then you only have 7 days to open a bank account for donations. So I got somebody that is working as my finance manager on my campaign, and we went and got a bank account, and we each threw $100 in there, and then we started talking to people for donations. Because as much as I want to say it's about what my message is and what I can do to help this city and hopefully have my heart and my ethics and my values in the right place, a lot of this is a popularity contest. You really have to get your name out there so people know what the options are. And I'm not sure they even know that what I stand for, but I think people have gotten to a point where they're feeling enough pain right now with what's going on in the city that they'll recognize my name as the new name, and that's going to get me some votes. And I wish it wasn't, it's not really nailed down to that being that simple. And I wish it wasn't that simple, but part of it is. So
I think
now
you have a
it's
good
raising
message
money
too. You
and
have a good
getting my name
message
out
too.
there.
You're not flying in with all these cockamamie ideas and opinions. You're just saying, let's discuss.
Yes.
This whole unanimous thing is fishy. Why are we
Yeah.
not talking more? That's
Yeah.
it.
No, it's literally, let's have a discussion. That's what this boils down to. And, and maybe if, 9 of the members stay the same and I'm the only one who gets a different spot, probably not going to change a lot of the votes. However, people are going to start hearing, well, wait a minute, what he's saying might make more sense and might be a better way to go. So maybe eventually it does change. Like to your point, Ann, you were saying that you can start at a city level and it can spread to another city and it can spread to a state level and then maybe change all around. Look, the bottom line is I don't want this city council to be one-sided on either side of the aisle. I want it to be a split city council where we can discuss things and ultimately the results and the decisions made will be what is best for Broomfield. And it's just not happening right now. And that's the main reason I'm getting involved is to just help this city. You guys can probably tell just from looking at me, I'm not a politician, nor do I have any desire to be a career politician. This is a 4-year term when I win, and I'm not sure I'll go past that. But I do want to have a discussion and I do want to try and make a difference in that time.
I don't know about you, Wilson, but it is kind of nice to have someone who is standing up for a city council or who is kind of a politician who's saying, change my mind. I'm okay with that. I want you to change my mind. I am not always right. I just want to be heard. And I
Yeah.
just want to be the voice for people who aren't heard. And you're not necessarily saying that you're right on everything or that they've messed up on a bunch of stuff. It's just let's talk about it and let's figure this out so that everyone can hear from a different point of view. Because what I'm hearing you say is my point of view may not be right, but we at least need to address it.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And as I've mentioned, I am married, so I'm told I'm not right very often. So
His wife is pretty smart.
yes, exactly. So I no, you know what? If I have an opinion or I have some facts that I'm putting out there and they may not be the best option, and someone can point me in another direction and say, what about this? And it is the best option, I'm 100% on board. I have zero problem saying I was wrong. That is a better way to go.
For our listeners too, let's dumb it back down. For me even, how do they tune in how do they find when the city council meeting even is? How do you
Yeah.
even look that up? We gotta get so granular with how they can get involved and be heard.
Yeah.
Like how does the general public say, I don't like this? What's the next step? I wouldn't even know. I would have to spend half an hour Googling something. Like what is the clear
Yeah.
path for the general public to tune in on their city council, what's happenings?
The best option is doesn't matter what city you're in, go to your city website. And they're always going to be a .gov website. So if you find something that says cityofbroomfield.com or cityofbroomfield.net, that's not the actual city website. They're always going to be a .gov. So go to those websites and they'll have a tab for city council meetings. And they'll tell you when those city council meetings are. And in most cases, they will have the agenda for the upcoming meeting on the website. Plus, you should be able to go back and look at past meetings. Like if you were curious about this single hauler trash issue, you could go back and watch that meeting if you wanted to.
Okay,
And then
okay,
as
there we
far as
go.
getting to know about the candidates, they've all got websites, which you can also see on the city website. They have them listed once you're a registered candidate. So people can find me at chad4broomfield.com. And the other thing about just not only having a website, but my website is open for, I want people to call me or email me and let's talk. I want to answer every question I can. And if they just want to call and say, where did you find that ugly shirt? I'll talk to them about it. I will
Well,
have a discussion about everything.
Broomfield.gov, they'll find your website on there.
Yes.
Who's running, and those that are listening, you hit them with all your questions, concerns,
Yep.
complaints.
They can email me at chad at chadforbroomfield.com.
And
you can
you're
also
are you bipartisan, or do they have to be like, can anyone in the city vote for you? Does it matter if they're Democrat or Republican? So tell us a little bit about, like, how does that work?
Sure. So city council elections are all nonpartisan. So you won't see a D or an R by anybody's name on a city council. Now, the only people who can vote for me are people in my ward. So Broomfield has 5 wards, and I'm in Ward 5. There's 2 elected officials for each ward in Broomfield. And only one of them is running in each ward right now, because they're staggered every 2 years or every 4 years, which ends up being an election every 2 years for it. So, yeah, you have to be in Ward 5. You have to be a registered voter, and it doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, unaffiliated. You can vote for whoever you want in that ward.
And is there a map on the website then that will
Yes.
say which ward you belong to? Can you just
Yep.
filter by address?
The Broomfield website also has a map of the wards.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. And that way you and they'll list in Ward 5, you can vote for, I'm running against the incumbent. And so it'll say on the ballot, it'll have my name, Chad Swenson, and his name, Todd Cohen. And you can find out a bunch of the stuff about us by watching or going to our websites, as well as you can find me on social media on Instagram. If you just type in Chad Swenson, 2 Instagram accounts come up. One of them says Swenson Real Estate. That's my real estate account. And another one says Chad for Broomfield. That's my campaign account. And there's multiple videos on the campaign account where I'm talking about the ideas I have, what I stand for. And also, like, I've also got videos on there where I'm just out promoting businesses within Ward 5, because I want the businesses to thrive in Broomfield as well. And that's, to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, that's another thing I really want to see change in Broomfield is I want Broomfield to be a more welcoming city for businesses. It is really tough to open a business in Broomfield with the ordinances and restrictions they have on opening a business. So we don't get a lot of new businesses coming here. And that's something that needs to change.
If I was in Ward 5, if I'm in Ward 5, folks, for those of you listening, I'm voting for Chad Swenson because he's running against some other Todd guy. Who wants to vote for Todd guy?
Nobody. Thank you. Like you a lot more now, even, Wilson.
Hey, man.
No, you should call and talk to
We're
both
backing our
people.
candidate.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Whatever, Todd.
Well, the thing is if you don't vote, which has been a big problem in non-general elections, people just figure it's not a presidential election, I'm not going to vote. And quite honestly, not voting at the local level hurts you more than voting in the general elections, because you're the one who's going to feel the decisions hit you, and you had no voice in it at that point. So I'm telling everybody out there, vote. Let's make this like Amway. Go vote for me. Tell 3 of your friends to vote for me, who will tell 3 of their friends to vote for me, and on down the line. Because if we don't, you don't get to do what I was doing in the hot tub / think tank and complain.
No, you don't.
To make a difference. And if you want to make a difference without actually running, you have to vote.
Let's reiterate that point because I've always thought that way too, and I'm sure a lot of people do, thinking that that national election is more important. No, the $70 coming out of your water bill has nothing to do with the presidential elections.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
You're right.
When
You're
people,
directly affected by these.
yeah, absolutely. You're dead on. When people ask me about national, like where do I stand on different national aspects or issues, I tell them flat out, I go, quite honestly, where I stand on those things is pretty much irrelevant. But here's what I stand on for our local community, for our
Yes.
city and county, and here's where it's going to benefit you. And that's what we should be talking about in these elections. It doesn't matter if you believe we're in a climate emergency or you believe that we need to change voting rights or whatever the national thing is. It's irrelevant to what's going on here because quite honestly those things are going to happen because we already have elected officials in Congress working on that, right? So right now you have an opportunity at the Broomfield level or Westminster or Thornton or wherever you live to make a difference by voting in the local election. So in Broomfield, don't vote and don't complain when our water continues to rise. And don't complain when they continue to take more things away from you, like your choice on who you use for trash. So let's make a difference now. And again, if I can say one thing I want people to understand is let's have a discussion. And ultimately, a discussion is going to lead to what is best for Broomfield.
Absolutely, Chad. Thank you so much for joining us. I think that you have been a really great, just being a placeholder or, stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing something that was really bothering you. A lot of people will complain about a lot of things. It takes a real champion, whether it be you or anyone else, to step forward, to put themselves out to do what you're doing. And I just wanted to say, while I don't live in Broomfield, I just appreciate anyone who is willing to go outside of their comfort zone and to run for city council, run for a spot, put themselves out there financially, and then also time commitment wise. I just wanted to say thank you so much because it's people like you that truly make a difference. And we all just need to kind of look at what you're doing. And while we may not feel comfortable running for city council, we do need to get out there and vote. And thank you for just opening our eyes to that average person can do it. You can't complain if you don't vote,
No.
period.
Look, I don't expect everybody to go out and run for city council or run for, school board seat or anything like that. But you know what? I do expect you to vote. I think it's your civic duty. And I think it makes a difference. And it's a way you can have your voice heard. So get out and place your vote. I hope it's for me, but if it's not, vote anyways. You need to vote.
So if any of you guys see Chad on the street, if you want to vote when you vote for Chad, if your friends have any questions about why they should vote for Chad, they can reach out to you on Instagram. They can email you all your different social media accounts. We will definitely put Chad on our Facebook page. Just reach out to Chad. Can you give us a couple more of your handles again, Chad?
Sure. My website is chadforbroomfield.com. The email is chad@chadforbroomfield.com. My Instagram page is type in Chad Swenson and you'll find it's Chad underscore the word for underscore Broomfield. And there's a lot, I'm posting videos, at least one a day that is getting put on there that talks about the issues and also just promotes community and talks about what's going on in Broomfield as well.
Well, thank you again, Chad, for joining us. This is Ann Wymore with Navigate Realty with me today.
Wilson Miller with Direct Lending Team powered by Citywide Home Mortgage.
And go vote for Chad Swenson, Ward City Council, Broomfield, Ward 5. Thanks,
Thank you,
Chad.
guys. Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
good
Chad.
one.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. This is Ann Wymore with Navigate Realty. And if you missed important information from this episode, check us out on Facebook at Northern Vibes Colorado
And this is Will Miller with Source Mortgage Group. Also follow us on YouTube at Northern Vibes CO.